There comes a time in life when the noise fades, friends become fewer, phone calls grow silent, and you find yourself alone. To some people, this moment feels like a shadow creeping in, a sign that something has gone wrong. For others, it's simply uncomfortable and unfamiliar quiet they'd rather not face. But here's a truth that can shift your entire perspective. Being alone is not a curse. It's not a weakness. It is, in fact, one of the greatest gifts life can hand you. Many people fear being alone because they mistake it for loneliness. But loneliness is an emotion, a temporary ache that comes and goes. Being alone is different. It is a state of being. And in that state lies a power that can transform you from the inside out, if you choose to embrace it rather than run from it. When the world quiets down, when the buzzing of your phone stops, when no conversations hum in the background, and no opinions are pouring into your ears, something happens. You are left face to face with the one person you cannot escape, yourself. For some, that's a relief, a chance to breathe and be. For others, it's unsettling, even frightening. Why? Because in that moment, all the noise you've been using to avoid your own thoughts is gone. You can hear your mind. You can feel the weight of your unspoken questions. In solitude, challenges stop looking like threats and start looking like opportunities. They become moments to test your strength, to see what you're truly made of. Setbacks stop feeling like walls blocking your way and start becoming stepping stones, each one pushing you forward, shaping you, refining you. You stop fearing failure because you understand something most people never realize. Failure is not the end. It's a chapter, not the whole book. Every time you stumble, every time you fall flat, every time you pick yourself back up, you reinforce the belief that you are capable, that you are strong, and that your resilience runs deeper than you ever imagined. Life will keep testing you. That's not a possibility, it's a guarantee. But with each challenge, each disappointment, each quiet moment of solitude, you are given a choice. You can let these moments harden you, make you bitter, close your heart to the world. Or you can let them shape you into someone wiser, stronger, more compassionate. Someone who doesn't just survive the storm, but emerges from it with greater clarity, deeper purpose, and unshakable resilience. Think of Nelson Mandela, 27 years behind prison walls. 27 years with the world moving on without him. For most, that kind of solitude would crush the spirit, drain the will, and extinguish all hope. But Mandela did something extraordinary. He used that time. He reflected, he learned, he built inner strength. When he finally walked out of prison, he didn't just step into freedom. He stepped into a future he had built within himself long before the doors opened. His years of solitude had not broken him. They had shaped him into a leader the world would never forget. This is what solitude can be, not a prison, but a crucible. A place where the fire is hot and the heat is uncomfortable. But what comes out is something stronger, purer, and more enduring than what went in. The trials you face in solitude are not designed to destroy you. They are designed to forge you. Strength isn't measured by how you handle life when everything is easy. It's measured by how you endure when life gets hard. It's measured by how you face your fears, your pain, your moments of absolute uncertainty, and choose to rise anyway. This is where solitude becomes more than just a state of being. It becomes your training ground. The world we live in is loud, it's chaotic. It's overflowing with voices, some encouraging, some doubting, some telling you who you should be, what you should do, how you should live. The danger in all that noise is that you can lose your own voice without even realizing it. You can wake up one day and see that you've been living for everyone else but yourself. You've been chasing goals that were never yours to begin with. You've been running a race you didn't choose, but solitude changes that. When you take a step back, when you deliberately choose to be alone, really alone, something begins to shift. The distractions start to fade. The pressure eases, and for the first time in a long time, you can hear yourself again. Your real thoughts, your real dreams, your real fears. It's not always comfortable, but it's always necessary. There's a reason why some of life's greatest breakthroughs happen in moments of solitude. It's in the quiet that ideas take shape, that clarity arrives, that direction becomes clear. You realize that you've had the power all along. You don't need someone else to complete you, to validate you, to declare you enough. You are enough. You always have been. When you discover that truth, everything changes. You stop looking outward for strength because you've found it inside. You stop seeking permission because you trust your own judgment. You stop doubting whether you can survive hard times because you've already proven to yourself that you can, and this isn't about arrogance. It's about grounded, quiet confidence, the kind that comes from knowing you've faced the worst and made it through. The kind that comes from remembering nights when you thought you couldn't take another step, but you did anyway. The kind that whispers to you, in the middle of the storm, you've been here before. You know what to do. You've got this. No storm is too fierce when you've learned to stand on your own. No dream is too big when you've learned to trust your ability to walk toward it, step by step, no matter how long the road. And when the next challenge comes, because it will, you won't be caught off guard. You will meet it head on, not with panic, but with resolve. The beauty of solitude is that it's not just a place where you discover who you are, it's a place where you decide who you will become. You get to shape yourself without the constant interference of other voices. You get to define your values, your priorities, your vision for your life. And when you walk back into the noise of the world, you carry that definition with you. You don't bend as easily. You don't break as quickly. You know your foundation is strong because you built it yourself. This is why solitude is a power most people overlook. They think of it as empty space, when in reality, it's the most valuable space they'll ever enter. It's where you recharge, where you heal, where you rebuild. It's where you remind yourself that you are more than your circumstances, more than your mistakes, more than the opinions of others. So the next time life pushes you into a season of solitude, whether by choice or by circumstance, resist the urge to fight it. Don't run from it. Don't try to drown it out with endless noise. Sit in it. Listen to what it's trying to teach you. Ask yourself the questions you've been avoiding. Face the truths you've been afraid to face. In that stillness, you will find the kind of strength that no one can give you and no one can take away. You'll walk through the world differently, not because life has suddenly become easy, but because you've become unshakable. And when you know, deep down, that you've got you, that no matter what comes, you can stand, you can endure, you can rise, you become unstoppable. The storms may still come, but they won't define you. The noise may still surround you, but it won't drown you out. The world may try to pull you off course, but you'll know exactly where you're going. Because you've been in the quiet, you've met yourself there, you've built your strength there, and once you've done that, you can walk into anything life throws your way, not with fear, but with certainty. That is the power of solitude, that is the gift, and that is the kind of strength that will carry you through the rest of your life. Being alone strips away the opinions, the judgments, and the constant expectations of others. And what's left is the sound of your own voice echoing back at you. The real question is, are you listening? Most people don't. They fill their days with endless chatter, surround themselves with entertainment, noise, and social feeds, anything to avoid being left alone with their thoughts. Nights are drowned out with distractions, but the truth is, when you're alone, that's when you finally meet the most important person in your life, not your friends, not your family, not your partner. You, and it's in that meeting where self-awareness is born. Think about it. How can you truly know what you want if you're always surrounded by what everyone else wants for you? How can you hear your own dreams when society's voice is shouting its own version of success into your ear every day? Solitude gives you space, a mental and emotional sanctuary to ask the questions you've been too busy to face. Who am I? What do I really want? Am I living my life for myself or for the approval of others? History's most impactful figures understood this power. Albert Einstein didn't stumble upon the theory of relativity while sitting in a noisy cafe surrounded by chatter. He spent long, uninterrupted hours in quiet reflection, letting his mind roam freely, unpressured and unshaped by the noise of others. Creativity, inspiration, and clarity do not thrive in chaos, they thrive in calm. There's a reason some of your best ideas seem to arrive out of nowhere while you're in the shower, driving alone on an empty road, or walking by yourself. In those moments, the background noise fades, and your mind finally has room to breathe. It's not magic, it's the natural flow of thought when the pressure is gone. Your imagination wakes up, solutions reveal themselves, and ideas you didn't even know were buried inside you begin to surface. Our modern world is louder than ever. Notifications pull at you every few seconds. Conversations swirl all around, and media demands your attention 24 hours a day. In such a constant storm of input, it's no wonder creativity feels blocked. Clarity feels elusive, and peace feels like something you can only get on a vacation. But solitude, real, intentional solitude, cuts through that storm. It's like clearing a cluttered room. Suddenly, there's space to think, space to dream, and space to notice the ideas that were always there but couldn't get through the noise. Think about J.K. Rowling. She wasn't scrolling through her phone or brainstorming in a meeting when the idea for Harry Potter first came to her. She was on a delayed train, sitting alone, with nothing to occupy her but her thoughts. In that stillness, her imagination began to wander, and instead of pushing the idea away, she embraced it. That single moment of quiet eventually grew into a story that touched millions. That's the magic of solitude. It gives your mind permission to roam, to connect dots that seemed unrelated, to explore possibilities you never considered before. But you don't have to be a famous scientist or author to experience this. You've probably had it happen yourself, lying in bed before sleep, when suddenly a solution to a problem clicks into place, or walking alone when a new idea for your future seems to come out of nowhere. That's solitude doing its quiet work. In those moments, there's no pressure to impress anyone, no need to defend your thoughts, no judgment hanging over you. It's just you, exploring the vast landscape of your own mind. And the more you explore it, the more you learn to trust it. You begin to realize you don't need a crowd to tell you if something is a good idea, or if you're making the right choice. You start to build an internal compass that points you toward what matters most to you, not to everyone else. This is one of solitude's greatest gifts. It teaches you to hear and trust your own voice. It's worth noting that solitude doesn't mean you have to isolate yourself forever. This isn't about rejecting human connection or living in a cave. It's about creating enough quiet space in your life to meet yourself fully, to understand your desires, your limits, your dreams, and your fears. Because if you never meet yourself in the quiet, you risk living your entire life according to someone else's script. Solitude is not about the absence of people, it's about the presence of yourself. It's about being with yourself for yourself. It's about having the courage to explore the corners of your mind you've been ignoring, and to shine a light on the parts of you that need healing, attention, and love. When you truly embrace solitude, you discover a power you never knew you had, a power that comes from knowing exactly who you are, what you stand for, and what you're capable of. And here's the thing, once you have that kind of self-awareness, no one can take it away from you. You can walk into any situation, face any challenge, and know that no matter what happens, you can trust yourself to navigate it. Being alone isn't about withdrawing from the world, it's about preparing yourself to meet it with strength. It's not about shutting people out, it's about opening yourself up to deeper, more authentic connections, because you're no longer afraid of losing yourself in them. The next time you find yourself in a moment of solitude, resist the urge to run from it. Don't immediately reach for your phone or fill the silence with noise. Instead, sit in it, feel it, listen. In that stillness lies your truth. In that quiet lies your power. And once you claim it, you'll carry it with you everywhere, into relationships, into challenges, into dreams. The phone stays silent, and the only person you can rely on is the one staring back at you in the mirror. That's when you learn the most important lesson of all. You don't need to be rescued. You don't need someone to show up and save you. You become your own hero. You find ways to solve your problems, to navigate obstacles, and to stand tall even when the weight of the world tries to pull you down. Think about the stories of people who have risen from the ashes of hardship, who have walked through storms with no one holding an umbrella over their heads. Oprah Winfrey faced a childhood filled with poverty, abuse, and rejection. There were countless moments when she stood completely alone, with no one but herself to rely on. Yet instead of letting those moments crush her spirit, she used them to build resilience. She learned to trust her instincts. She kept moving forward even when every door seemed to close. What the world sees today is her success, but what it often misses are the silent battles she fought in the dark. Battles where she could have given up, but chose instead to rise. Solitude isn't just about being physically alone. It's about standing on your own emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. It's about making decisions without always needing the reassurance or validation of others. It's trusting your judgment even when the people around you question it. It's having the courage to follow your own path when it would be easier to walk the one everyone else is on. When you cultivate that kind of independence, something remarkable happens. You stop waiting. You stop waiting for someone else to tell you it's time, to give you permission, to open the door for you. You realize your life is your responsibility, your happiness, your progress, your future, all of it is in your hands. No one is coming to hand you a map. You've got to draw your own, and in drawing it, you discover that you've had the compass all along. There's an old saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. There's truth in that, but here's something often left unsaid. Sometimes to go far with others, you first need to learn how to walk alone. Because if you can't stand on your own 2 feet, you will always depend on someone else to carry you. And life isn't designed for that kind of dependency. People come and go. Circumstances change. What stays constant is you, your drive, your will, your ability to weather storms when they arrive, and they always do. Consider the journey of an entrepreneur starting a business from scratch. At the beginning, there are no guarantees. There's no promise of success, no applause from the sidelines, no safety net if things go wrong. There are long nights spent working alone, days filled with rejection, and moments when giving up seems like the easiest option. But the ones who push through, who rely on their determination rather than waiting for external motivation, are the ones who eventually succeed. Steve Jobs once said, "I'm convinced that about half of what separates successful entrepreneurs from the non-successful ones is pure perseverance." And where does perseverance come from? Often, it's born in solitude in the quiet hours when no one is watching, when no one else believes but you. That's when the real strength is forged. That's when the decision is made to keep going, even when every reason to stop is right in front of you. Being alone forces you to confront yourself. It makes you face your fears, your doubts, your insecurities. It's not always pleasant. In fact, it can be downright painful, but growth rarely comes from comfort. It comes from facing hard truths and refusing to run from them. It comes from standing in front of the mirror and seeing not just your strengths, but also your flaws and deciding to work on both. Solitude can feel like a test, and in many ways it is. It tests your patience. It tests your faith in yourself. It tests your ability to keep moving when no one is watching and no one is there to cheer you on. But every time you choose to keep going, you build a deeper kind of strength, the kind that isn't dependent on the approval of others. When you're truly independent, you stop living reactively, waiting for life to tell you what's next. Instead, you begin to move with intention. You start projects not because someone suggested them, but because you believe in them. You make decisions not out of fear, but out of conviction. You stop seeking permission and start trusting your own yes and no. There's a quiet confidence that comes with this independence. It doesn't need to shout to be heard. It doesn't need to prove itself to anyone. It simply exists steady and unshakable because it has been built through trial, through resilience, through standing alone when it mattered most. This isn't to say you won't still value others or that you won't need people in your life. We all need connection, but there's a difference between valuing connection and depending on it for your sense of self-worth. When you know how to stand alone, relationships become a choice, not a crutch. You can love freely without fear of losing yourself. You can work with others without needing them to define you. Independence also changes the way you face challenges. When something goes wrong, you don't automatically look for someone to blame or someone to fix it for you. You take ownership. You ask, what can I do to change this? How can I move forward from here? That shift in mindset is life changing. It moves you from feeling powerless to feeling capable, from feeling like life is happening to you, to feeling like you have a hand in shaping it. It's easy to romanticize the idea of being your own hero, but the truth is, it's not always glamorous. Sometimes it's making a decision and living with it even when you're unsure. Sometimes it's choosing to keep going after a rejection that stings. Sometimes it's waking up every day to the same challenge and choosing to face it again and again. That's the part people don't see, the long, quiet grind that builds resilience over time. And here's something important. The independence you gain from solitude doesn't just prepare you for the hard moments. It also prepares you to fully embrace the good ones. When you've fought for your victories, they mean more. When you've walked through the fire alone, you can stand in the sunlight without needing someone else to tell you you've earned it. You begin to realize that the strength you've built is yours. It can't be taken away by someone leaving, by a job ending, by circumstances changing. It's woven into who you are, and that's when you understand why solitude was never a punishment. It was a training ground. You don't get that kind of strength from the easy moments. You get it from the times when the world was quiet, when the phone stayed silent, when no one showed up but you did. You get it from the nights you didn't give up, from the mornings you chose to start again. In the end, the independence you build in solitude isn't about proving to the world that you can do everything on your own. It's about proving to yourself that you can. And once you know that, truly know it, life opens up in ways it never could before. Because when you've learned to stand alone, you're no longer afraid of falling. And when you're no longer afraid of falling, you can walk into anything, any challenge, any dream, any future with the quiet confidence of someone who has been their own hero and knows they can be again.